Hello. Um, so I wanted to come in and talk about Normal People by Sally Rooney. I just finished reading it this afternoon. But first of all, I want to talk about some books I'm still reading. So I'm still reading this, Kingdom Land, and I thought I'd read less of this than I have. I've read 34 pages, so that's not a lot, but this is actually I've been on this a few weeks, and I'm actually loving it so much that I'm not reading it because I don't want to read it, devour it, and then have finished reading it, which is so stupid. Um, and I can always just reread it if I finish it. So I guess I'm worried it will be one of those poetry collections that I just keep rereading and rereading and rereading, and then not reading anything else, which is very silly. So yeah, I'm loving this. I'm probably going to read, the rest of it tomorrow or something. But yeah, I'm loving this. And my next two books that I brought down with me, these are the last two books that I'm on to now that I brought down with me, which are some of my favourite books. First Love by Gwendolyn Riley and The Prime of Miss Jean Brodie by Muriel Spark. Muriel Spark is one of my favourite writers. Gwendolyn Riley is one of my favourite writers, but Prime of Miss Jean Brodie is like favourite book. This is one of my favourite books. So I think I'm going to read First Love first. Because I can easily read this in a day, and also I can easily read this in a day too. But I feel like then I can read The Prime of Miss Jean Brodie and read it in between another book. I just feel like that's the way I feel like going at the moment, so that's what I'm gonna do. What else? So I'm eating. I've got some strawberries and cucumber with me because I mean, they're just hydrating to eat. And strawberries whiten your teeth, apparently. And I mean, my teeth look okay, but bit of whitening, you can't go wrong. But then I'm drinking it with tea, and tea stains your teeth. So obviously, I don't care about whitening my teeth that much. But I guess drinking tea and eating strawberries is better than drinking tea and not eating strawberries in a logical sense. So yeah. So yeah, I wanted to come in and talk about this. I guess the cover is cute enough, so the cover's okay. Um, and I was surprised at how strong my feelings were on this book. Um, when I picked it up, I thought, well, I didn't know that much about it going in, which I'm really, really glad about. But I just thought it would be, a straight cute book, um, and I wouldn't have that many feelings on it. But I actually came away having, yeah, really strong feelings on it. So, for those of you who don't know, the book is about a romance, kind of. Um, so these two people, Marion and Connell, grow up together, and she's this rich bitch. Well, she's not a bitch, but she's rich. Her family are rich, and she lives in this mansion. And then Connell's mother is the cleaner in this mansion, so they kind of become family friends and muck about together. And so there's like class discussion, and it's set in Ireland. So that was one of my favourite things about the book because I liked some of the language in it. Like Connell, it's not like written in dialect, but there's bits where Connell. So it's set contemporaneously. So it's set in like the 2011s and 14s and stuff. So very, very recently, I guess. Well, not that recently, but kind of recently. And Connell says, like when he says things, like I do, but not like I do because that's an Irish term. So the way he uses it, I feel like for people who don't know Irish culture a bit, or the way some Irish people speak, they'll just think Connell is just saying it like a young person says like I just did. But in Ireland, well, some people in Ireland, I think particularly Southern Ireland, they'll say, I went out and it was raining like. So they say the word differently. So that's how Connell speaks. So I really liked Connell. And what I really liked about Connell was that he was a straight white man who's actually not afraid to be masculine. So that was refreshing to read. Aside from, heterosexual politics and, gender discussion, I thought a lot of the time the book was actually falling into stereotypes. But I thought what the book did most of the time is it kind of bordered on falling into a stereotype and then moved away from it. So that was okay. Like, particularly when they're at school, the school is a bit stereotypical. It's like, oh, there's popular people and not popular people. Which felt a bit too like Americanized. But I mean, I've never been to school in Ireland, so maybe that is what Irish schools are like. I don't know. But Marion as a character, she did kind of feel like a Laurentian heroine. So she did have those kind of teas. I got that vibe from her. So then when she leaves school, she kind of becomes a kind of shell of a person, which sometimes I felt like, where's all this self assertion that you had in school? But I guess that's more a commentary on abusive relationships and what they do to you. So I could accept that she became a bit of a shell of a person when she was grown up. Let me have a strawberry and think. So that's the introduction to the book. So I'm guessing if you're watching this, you've read the book, because you've probably read the book. So I'm just going to go in and do spoilers or whatever, because I want to discuss everything about the book. So they grow up in, is it near Galway? I'm not sure. But then they end up going to Dublin together. Not as together, but they end up both going to Trinity in Dublin. And while they're still at school, they start messing about together, and they say that, well, they never really agree on their relationship, which I just find a bit odd. They just kind of don't come out to society about being together, because they're like, oh my god, what will people think? But I mean, Marion has different reasons for not coming out about the relationship, because she's in an abusive family and all that stuff, and she doesn't want people judging her. But then she says at times she doesn't care about what people think about her. So, and then Connell is like, my mum's your cleaner, so that's why we can't tell people. But I'm like, people, like, obviously class relations, important in this book. But I'm like, people, like, aren't just their class. Like, I got the sense that these two characters were, self-asserting enough that they would just be like, yeah, we're together. Fuck whoever doesn't agree. So that was the thing that kept bugging me about this book. I was like, you can read each other on such a deep level. Yeah, a lot of the time that they kind of not read each other's thoughts, but their witty dialogue just kind of seemed so in sync that I was like, what is in the way? Like, if you're that intelligent about, class, and you're so educated, like, why is talking about your relationship such a big issue? Like, just get over it. So, but I mean, when they're 16 and so, I was like, well, they're young, so they're going to be idiots, because young people do silly things sometimes. But then when they're at uni, I'm like, just be together if you want to be together. Like, no one gives a shit, honestly. Like, as a reader, I don't even care that much. I'm like, just be together if you want to be together. And then by the end of the book, I felt more like they were just codependent on each other rather than in a healthy relationship. So the final end of the book where he's like, oh my god, I can do an MFA in New York. I was like, please do it. Please, Connell, please get away from all these people in Ireland, apart from your mother. Like, the mother was lovely, but I always thought it was weird that he called his mother Lorraine. I was like, is that an Irish thing, or is it because his mum's a cleaner and he's working class that it's made out that that's a normal working class thing to not call your mum your mum? So yeah, I did wonder why he didn't call his mum Lorraine. But you can see that I did crimp a lot of the pages, and that means that I really like the writing. So the writing, I thought, for the most part, was really stellar. She goes into these characters, Sally Rooney does, on a really good psychological level, I felt. But aside from that, I found myself that I was more moved when she talked about the happy parts of the book than with the sad parts. Like, the sad parts of the book, personally, I love reading miserable books. I just find them comforting, not in an assuring way. No, comforting, not in a oh, we're crying together, soppy kind of way. I find miserable books comforting in an assuring way, I guess I should say. Like, in a way that says, this is what the world can be like, and this is okay. I mean, it's not okay, but like, this is what the world is like. The world isn't always happy. That's what I find assuring about miserable books sometimes. And this book, I mean, it does show like the ebbs and flows of life, but like particularly as a spoiler, like when Rob commits suicide, I was like, am I meant to be really saddened by this? Because this is just an extraneous character. Like, it doesn't really move me. Like, to be honest, I would have found it more hard hitting if maybe like one of the main characters had attempted suicide, like not killed themselves but attempted suicide. I would have found that more believable. And well, not that Rob killing himself wasn't believable, but it was just like I meant to be really hard hit about this. And obviously I was like a bit hit by it, because obviously Connell takes it, he takes it hard. So I did feel for him, but at the same time I felt like Sally Rooney was holding back a little bit. We're talking about the more sad part of the book. There's sad feelings in the book. I felt like if she was going to describe a sad feeling, she'd say, oh, he felt like a freezer. It was kind of going on that level, where she kept describing the feelings as something else. And I wanted to be like, you can do that, but like, don't be afraid to delve into these sad feelings, because you're the writer. You can do that. But the book was written in the present tense, so that really worked for me. I think that worked really well. And I liked that the book was set quite short periods of time. So, 3 months later, February 2012, you don't see that much in a book. So that worked for me. Let's see, what else? At times in this book, same with Saltwater by Jessica Andrews, I came away feeling very, very jealous and very, very, not isolated, but shut out, I guess. So obviously this book is like straight people, but a lot of the time it just felt like the book was rubbing it in my face about how great it is to be straight, and how, straight people could just have sex as much and their mum doesn't mind. Which, I mean, most parents now in the UK wouldn't mind. Personally, I've not really had sex at my parents' house, so I don't know if they would mind. I assume they wouldn't mind that much. But stuff like that, as a couple, they're always like, well, no, they're not like that. They're kind of like, they don't want to be out in the open together because society will judge them. I'm like, you're worried about how people will judge you just because you're class, but if you were gay, you too would really have a problem. So I find it a little bit difficult to empathise with them, because I'm like, look, if you like each other, just be together. It's not that big a deal. It really, really isn't that big a deal. Like, if you think this is a big deal, try, being gay somewhere like a small Irish town where there might only be like 4 gay people in the whole town that are out, that people know about. Like, imagine how hard that will be. So I kind of felt a bit weird about it, because people kind of just seem to be able to go in and out of relationships. Like, oh, didn't work out with you, let's get someone else. Whereas being gay, I feel like when you go home, personally, I live in my parents live in a village in Wales, so that's where I grew up. And I'm like, the idea of just breaking up with someone and then being able to date someone back home, it's just not that easy to date if you're gay. Or like it's not as easy to find such, such a compatible partner if you're gay. You have to do a lot of filtering to get through to someone who's compatible to you if you're gay, I feel like. Whereas this book, it just seems to be like, oh, no, it didn't work out with you, so I'm going to pick you up. But, I mean, at uni, if you're gay, it is easier to find other gay people if you're part of a society or you have other gay friends. But in this book, there's literally hardly any gay people in it, which just rubbed my face in it more. At one point, Marianne has a friend called Joanne who has a girlfriend, but it's actually like just a little token character. Like, that's what I felt like. So up to page 200 of the book, I was like, are there going to be any non-straight people? Because based on this, you would just think the world, like in Ireland, they don't have gay people. And I know that is like me reading into that, but it did really feel like at points that not that she was personally not writing gay people, but it just made me feel as a gay reader that I was like, oh my god, most people could just get into the characters, I guess, if you're straight. But being gay, it did feel like I was particularly shut off from it because I was like, well, they think it's hard, but what if they were gay? Like, what if they were gay? How much harder would it be for them? So I find it a little bit harder to empathise with their struggles, even though Marion's brother being abusive, certain scenes that hit me hard, but I was like, I still want a bit more characterization about Alan, even though he's not the character. Like, why does he do this? I think at one point his mum just says, or people in his mum, like Alan's mum just says, Denise, she says he has, a personality issue or something. But I'm like, yeah, but I mean, if you're just going to beat your sister up like that, I want to know a bit more about that. What else? Apart from that, I liked the way the book wrote about sex. I thought that was done really well, and certain parts where the two of them are having sex together, I was like, oh, this is really cute, and yeah, I like that. Other than that, when they were at uni, it felt a bit like they were more young professionals than students. Like, when I was at uni, I didn't really even know they were like this kind of elite scholarship society, or not scholarship society, but this like elite society of, your parents have gone to uni and been very, very successful, and they're, high up on the social scale. So their kids go to uni and are very high up on the social scale at uni as well. And, their friends at Trinity in Dublin are kind of like these upper echelon people. And I was like, is that what uni is like, where all these, sons of mayors just hang out together? But maybe being gay, that's why I didn't know these people. I don't know. But I could kind of accept that a bit, but because they were, like, Marion and Connell, they are quite politically minded, and they seem more socially aware. So they question that society. So I liked it when the questioning was going on. Like, I felt like the dialogue in the book, like the dialogue was like one of the key strengths of this book. I love the dialogue in it, but at the same time, the way they were talking, they just seemed more like 40-year-olds having dinner parties, not students. Like, I feel like students, when you have a dinner party, you're much more aware of having a student party and how much of an event it is, whereas these people just seem like they did it every other day. But maybe being upper echelon type people, that's normal. So Connell, because he's not an upper echelon person, but then being a scholarship person, he does kind of become affiliated with that group. So there's discussion on that, which I liked. But it just seemed like, to him it wasn't natural at all, but to the others it all seemed very, very natural. I'm like, you must feel a bit stagey about it because you're kind of just acting the way your parents acted. So sometimes it felt like the book was really working for me, and at other times I felt a bit shut out of it. So I think the book is a good book, and I would recommend it. But if you're gay, I don't know if I would recommend it for a gay person, because you might end up just feeling jealous and shut out, as I did a lot of the time. So if you're straight watching this, I wonder how you came away feeling from the book. I haven't seen any reviews of the book yet because I didn't want it to influence my reading of the book. I just wanted to read it by myself and then see what other people are saying and have a discussion. So if you're straight, how did you feel about the relationship? Did you feel like, oh my god, yeah, I totally understand why you don't just come out and tell everyone you're together and be together if that's what you want? But as a gay person, I was like, just fucking be together. Like, honestly, babe, honestly, Marianne, I don't care that much. Honestly, Connell, I don't care that much if you're together or not. Like, if you're together, great for you. There you are. Like, the world is made for straight people, basically. Like, well, not the world is made for straight people, but they're straight and white. Like, the world is made for you, mate. So, but then they are different classes, so I do understand that. But, like, people are more than just their class. So, yeah. But also, how did you feel about the ending? Like, in the ending, did you feel that Connell should go to New York, or do you think he should stay and be with her their whole lives? I think that he should go to New York, and should he keep in touch with her? I don't know. I think if they want to go together, she can apply for some apprenticeship in New York or something. I'm sure she'll get it because she's so intelligent. Um, and they can be in New York. They can be in New York together. And then if they don't want to be together, don't be together, or just be friends, or figure out what you want to do. Like, what else? There was something else about Marion I wanted to say. Still can't remember it. Oh, I've remembered now. So the other thing I thought was odd about Marion is that if she hates her family so much, just don't go back to them when the semester ends or at weekends or whenever you're going back. Like, you don't have to. Like, if you're rich, just don't do it. Get a job. Um, so I thought that was about a bit odd about Marion. I was like, does she just not care about herself so much that she's willing to go back home? Because I'm like, if she's that um, self-asserted as she seems in school, um, she can just go to college, like go to Trinity, and then if she doesn't like her family, as she says they hate her so much, just don't go back. And I guess in defence of her, you could say, but actually she's not self-asserted. It was all a front, which I can understand that, and um, you could say that, yeah, but it's because she feels that they hate her. She keeps going back because she wants their love, and I can understand that as well, but I'm like, just instinctively, she seems like if she doesn't care about what people think, that would apply family wise as well. Like, if my family treated me like that, like as bad as they do in this book, I'm pretty sure I would just say stuff them. And I think because I'm gay, maybe that's why I feel so strongly about that. So for her, I just kind of felt like maybe it should be you in counselling rather than Connell. Although Connell needs it as well, but I think Marion, you need it just as much as Connell. Um, so yeah, mixed feelings on the book, but I crimped the pages, and normally when I crimp the pages, it means I'm definitely going to come back to the book. So I reckon I definitely will reread this at some point, and maybe my thoughts will be a bit more, I don't know, settled on it when I come back to it. So yes, let me know what you thought of this book. Bye.